We love Uncle Gwede. This is the news that he says South Africans are fat and lazy. They just sit around complaining, like passive civilians, waiting for service delivery. Why don't South Africans get up and do something themselves?
Yeah, but whenever we do get up and do something ourselves, he and his party calls us the third force funded by Israel and the CIA, waiting to overthrow the revolution. So you can't have it both ways, right? As a revolutionary party like the ANC, you can either have a revolutionary society that you create that supports you, or when you screw it up, like they have done here, any opposition to the revolution is then called counter-revolutionary and should be snuffed out with the SANDF. But for Gwede, none of those things are possible. Everyone's just lazy bastards.
Yeah, he's kind of off, right? I mean, I'll give him his dues. I mean, a lot of South Africans are actually very passive when it comes through to their problems. We see this on Morning Show all the time, right? I mean, we say to people, oh, you're worried about crime, go get a gun. Oh, I'm not getting a gun. No, it's the police. You say, okay, well, you're worried about public hospitals. Why don't you get a medical aid? Why should I have to pay for that? Oh, you're worried about load shedding. Why don't you get an inverter? I'm not doing that. I'm going to spend my 100 grand and go on holiday to Cape Town because, family and stuff. But it's kind of true. If the priorities were switched another way and you were more active, you'd adjust accordingly and you'd make provisions for the state of your living. You wouldn't just be passive, waiting on the safe to solve everything.
But it's also very rich for Gwede to say this, right? Because we like Gwede for a few reasons. He's big on fossil fuels, which we are as well. He's big on coal, which we are as well. He's big on nuclear. And most importantly, he understands that the energy sovereignty of South Africa is very important, and the CIA and foreign-funded NGOs are trying to undermine that. We agree with you, Uncle Gwede. But when you say South Africans are passive and lazy, just waiting around for something, there are a distinct people in South Africa which are not that. They are called Afrikaners, right? They're building Oranje, they're building AfriForum, they're building Solidarity, they're doing all sorts of things to make Afrikaners exist in South Africa. But when the Afrikaners are not lazy and waiting for something to happen, you, Gwede, call them all sorts of terrible things.
Yeah, you see, this actually becomes the problem, Ramon, because let me give you two examples. Let's just say, I'm going to take an active role and I'm going to homeschool my kid because the basic education is terrible. I mean, we covered that on a video yesterday. But when you do that, the government goes, oh, no, we don't want you to do that. You must register with us and we'll tell you what you can do and, more government control. What about when you turn around and you go, oh, I'm not going to deal with the government hospital. That's awful. So I'm going to take matters into my own hands and go get my own private medical aid. And the government says, but what about the poor underprivileged? Oh, fun, you can have all the same service. Let's all have NHR. Or when you go out and you do get that gun, and then the government says, oh, actually, we need to amend the Firearms Control Act so that, you can't have self-defense guns because you must rely on the police. So whenever you do take these steps to actively control your environment, to actively be a good citizen, to look after yourself and ensure service delivery for yourself, the ANC steps in and says, oh, but that's our job. You can't do that. And what about the poor, underprivileged people that can't afford it just like you can? Then why should you get service delivery and they can't? I mean, wouldn't it be better if you all didn't get service delivery together? That way you'd all be equal in not getting service delivery. This is the ANC's logic. So it's very rich for Uncle Gwede also to sit back and say, well, actually, why don't you not be lazy? Why don't you do it yourself? And the answer, Uncle Gwede, is because you won't let us.
And onto that sort of lazy description of the South African population, I mean, what makes people very lazy? Oh, I don't know, maybe getting guaranteed money every month, free housing, free healthcare. I'm not saying the quality is any good, but you get a lot of free stuff in South Africa. And as we know from studies around the world, not just in Africa, but overseas, the more free stuff you get from the state, the more complacent you become and the more reliant you become on the state itself. If the state gives them free stuff, they want more free stuff. And if you get a lot of free stuff, you become lazy and complacent and ill-disciplined. So you create a scenario to make people lazy, and then you decry the laziness. Make it make sense, because I can't.
One of the key objectives of the Universal Basic Income Grant, also known as BIGS, is to ensure that everybody is pulled out of poverty and everybody is provided with a grant. But one of the biggest objectives to the basic income grant is that it would create a society of very lazy people who really have no incentive to go to work if their basic needs are already provided for them. Yeah, the ANC loves the idea of a big. They love it. Basic income grant, they're there all day. I mean, we can't afford it. We don't have the cash. But the ANC's like, we'll find it somewhere. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple cows we can sell. Maybe let's just raid Cyril's couch. Hey, there must be cash somewhere. So what exactly is that going to produce when you provide this basic income grant? Lazy fat people that are waiting for service delivery? I can't make it make sense either, my friend.
Yeah, so I mean, if the ANC ran a business, they would pay everyone a month in advance, not look at their work, and then when they're not making a profit, they will complain that people are just lazy. It's like, no, but you've given all the incentives in the world for people to be lazy and reliant on you in the first place. So really, the moral of the story is, ANC, stop creating lazy fat people through your policies. If you sort of remove the incentives to be lazy and fat, maybe the South African public will become a lot more productive overnight. Just a thought.